Hi all and welcome back to the channel, and I hope you're all doing okay. First of all, I want to start off by saying a big thank you to you for your comments on my last video. I really and truly do appreciate that. I will get round to replying to you like I try to, but it does mean a lot to me and it helps me decide on where I take the channel and what I do with it. So thank you so much indeed for that. I've got a few things to bring you tonight. There's not a lot happening in the world of Formula 1 at the moment, but I've got a couple of few things that may be of interest. So I'm going to start off again with Mercedes engineer Andrew Shovlin, because he has explained why the team's progress has been incremental despite introducing a number of performance upgrades this season. He said, "The issue at the moment is everyone else is developing their cars. You saw McLaren with a big package and they look to have moved forward. Also, the handling issues the drivers are having to battle with are making it hard to see all that performance as a straight step forward. The car can behave quite differently from session to session." But in my previous video when I spoke about Andrew Shovlin, he said that it was a gust of wind dropped Lewis from second fastest down to ninth, I think it was. But here it's he's saying that the car can behave quite differently from session to session. I still don't think they quite understand what's going on with that car, whether it's a balance issue, drag, whatever. I'm pretty sure they're going to nail it soon. Just got this feeling. Then I want to stick with Mercedes but move on to George Russell, because he's given his thoughts on Kimi Antonelli's chances of replacing Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes next year. Antonelli recently took part in a private Mercedes test and reportedly left a big impression. Russell said, "I've heard he's been doing a good job. Obviously when you're driving alone, it's always difficult to get a reference, and for him it's just about gaining the necessary experience. There's no doubt he's going to be a Mercedes driver at some point in the future. Is that next year? Is it in years to come? Time will tell. He's a great driver, he's won everything in his junior career, so there's no reason not to see him in Formula 1 and mix him with the best in the years to come." And sticking with the Kimi Antonelli theme, because Max Verstappen wants the FIA to relax their super license rules to make it easier for talented young drivers like Kimi Antonelli to make their way into Formula 1. It was recently reported that Mercedes had applied for special dispensation to get Antonelli a super license that would allow him to race for Williams at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Discussing the super license rules, Verstappen said, "In the end, it does not stop what it is intended for. It's not specifically against him, Antonelli, but in some cases it can, of course, prevent talent from being kept in Formula 1. Look, if someone is 17 or 18 and he has 20 points but he is very fast, why is he not allowed to enter Formula 1? They first have to get those 40 points together. I'm not a fan of that whole system, but ultimately the FIA has to think it's okay, but I'd rather not have it." And I think that's quite wise from Max, because he does raise a good point there. I'm kind of thinking that with this whole Antonelli thing going to Williams in time for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, is this Toto Wolff's way of getting him into Formula 1, having a large chunk of the racing season left to prove his worth before signing him up for the second seat at Mercedes next year? Saying that, Bottas and Vettel have both been rumoured to make a return to Mercedes, but Vettel maybe. I can't see Bottas doing it after he was there before and was fed up with the one-year contracts. So I'm just wondering if that special dispensation about Antonelli's super license would bring him into the Mercedes works team a lot quicker. I don't know, it'd be quite an interesting one to watch, that will. But there's nothing really much said about that at the moment. And then I want to move on to Helmut Marko, because he believes Liam Lawson's manager is behind the leaking of stories that Daniel Ricciardo is to be sacked by Red Bull at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Ricciardo is under threat of losing his seat after a tough start to the season, and a report in New Zealand recently surfaced claiming that Marko is ready to sack Ricciardo. I did understand that as Ricciardo had until Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix to show that he's still consistent and competitive. But looking at this, it wasn't until the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, it was including. So depending on what sort of weekend he has next weekend, I suppose we'll see if any of these reports were right or not. But sticking with Helmut Marko and Christian Horner, they've had opposing views on the impact of Max Verstappen hitting a bollard during the Miami Grand Prix. Speaking after the race, Horner claimed that Verstappen had suffered floor damage which prevented him from overtaking Lando Norris towards the end of the race. Marko, however, failed to notice any changes in performance after the incident. He told OE24, "Max believes that it wasn't that serious. The fact is that we were slower than McLaren." Now, I find this really interesting because what confused me about this is with a comment like that from Marko, you would suggest it was a mind game comment to try and put a little bit of mind game pressure on the McLaren team. But in all fairness to Helmut Marko, he normally says very little, but is straight to the point and generally very truthful. It's not like this is the sort of game that he would play normally, mind games. So is he being honest there, that McLaren were quicker than Red Bull in Miami? I don't know, that's a really weird one, but maybe Christian Horner is trying to hide the fact that there's vulnerabilities in the RB20, that it wasn't competitive with McLaren. Again, that's going to be another interesting one to watch. Found that quite interesting, that story. Really enjoyed that. So again, there's a few things I'm going to be looking out for this coming week, over the weekend, certainly over the race, to see what happens. But again, I want to say a massive thank you to you for your comments on my last video. It makes a huge difference because I like to know what my subscribers prefer instead of me just assuming what you prefer. So thank you so much indeed for that. And as always, thank you so much indeed for your comments, your likes and your shares. It means the world to me, it genuinely does. And also, if you do like what I do, please consider pressing the like button on this video, also pressing the subscribe button, press the notification bell so you get those all important future warnings of my uploads. And as always, until the next time, take care.